Am I the jerk for not wanting my boyfriend to factor my son's survivor benefits into our new household budget? My 38 female son, 15 male, receives $1,100 a month in Social Security survivor benefits from his late father, who passed away when my son was 5. My boyfriend, 40 male, and I have been in an on-again, off-again relationship for a long time. Things have been good recently, and he proposed. We're planning on getting a house together. I have my son, and he has 3 children, but only one of his kids would be living with us full-time. The house we are looking at is $20,500 a month. My boyfriend's proposed budget is for him to pay $950, for me to pay $950, and for us to use $600 from my son's check for the household. He suggests we can then put the remaining $500 from the check into savings. My current practice is to give my son half of his check, $550, for his personal use, and save the other half for him. I think that since he's almost 17, he should have some control over his money. My boyfriend disagrees completely. He thinks that since we are going to be a family, all the money should be pooled together for shared expenses. He thinks I'm wrong and selfish for not wanting to include the survivor benefits in the main budget. We've been going back and forth on this, and I'm feeling incredibly uncomfortable with his expectation. I feel like the benefits are my son's and should not be used to reduce the adult's portion of the bills. It feels like he's trying to make me subsidize the household using money that was meant for my son's care and future, not to pay his own share of the bills. Am I wrong here? Is it selfish to keep my son's check separate and manage it for his benefit alone? Or is my boyfriend's financial expectation a red flag for our future together? Update following my original post. I ended the relationship with my ex over the weekend. The breakup escalated into a heated argument, with him repeatedly calling and threatening to go to my mother's and grandmother's homes to cause a scene. I had to call his mother to calm him down. This was the final straw for me. In the argument, I also discovered he is not paying child support for his minor child. Combined with his abusive and manipulative behavior, our engagement and plans to buy a house are off. For those who commented about the $500, my son is a very responsible young man whose college is already paid for. He has a car and a part-time job, and saves a significant portion of his spending money. The issue was never about the amount, but about my ex's manipulation regarding our finances to gain control. I am now focused on my and my family's safety. I have blocked all contact and am documenting all threats in case legal action is needed. I am choosing my well-being and finally feel a sense of relief and strength. Am I the jerk for refusing to give up my inheritance to pay for my sister's wedding? My dad passed away last year after a long illness. It was devastating, but honestly, the last few years of his life were harder than the funeral itself. I, 28, female, was the one who moved back home to take care of him. I handled doctor's appointments, late-night emergencies, bills, and basically ran the house when he couldn't anymore. It was exhausting, but I don't regret it. He and I got very close during that time. My sister, 32 female, on the other hand, lives out of state. She came back twice in the last year of his life, once for Christmas and once for his birthday. I don't think she's a bad person, but she definitely distanced herself from the responsibility. Her excuse was that she had her own life and couldn't just drop everything. I understood at the time, but it still hurt. When Dad passed, his will specifically left me a decent chunk of money. Not millions, but enough that I could pay off my student loans and actually start saving for a house. It was clear in the will that this money was for me because of the sacrifices I made while caring for him. My sister received other things. He left her some jewelry and a classic car he had restored that she always loved, but the majority of liquid assets went to me. Fast forward to now. My sister got engaged in May. Her fiancé is nice enough, but they both have champagne tastes on a beer budget. The wedding they're planning is way out of their price range. Destination resort, designer dress, open bar, huge guest list. I assumed they were going into debt for it, which I thought was their choice. But then, about a month ago, my sister sat me down and said, "I need your help. Dad would have wanted you to use some of that inheritance to make my wedding special." She wasn't asking for a small loan. She wanted me to hand over $30,000 to cover the venue and catering. I told her no. I said that Dad left me that money for a reason, and I'm using it to build stability in my life, not blow it on a party. She immediately got defensive and accused me of being selfish and choosing money over family. Now my mom has gotten involved. She says Dad would have wanted me to share, and that family comes first. I told her Dad literally wrote a will that reflected his wishes, and if he wanted to fund my sister's wedding, he would have set aside money for that. Mom keeps saying I'm tearing the family apart. My sister has been telling relatives that I'm punishing her for not being around when Dad was sick, which makes me feel sick to my stomach because it's kind of true. I am resentful. But it also feels unfair that the person who did all the work gets nothing, and the one who barely showed up gets rewarded. Some cousins are on her side and have texted me things like, "It's just money, you'll make more," and "Your dad would have wanted her to have her special day." Others, thankfully, have said it's insane she's even asking. Now, my sister says she won't invite me to the wedding at all unless I do the right thing. My mom is begging me to reconsider for the sake of peace. But honestly, I can't see myself handing over $30K just so my sister can have a fancy Instagram wedding while I put my future on hold. Still, the guilt is eating me. Am I really the jerk for refusing to share my inheritance with my sister to pay for her wedding? Am I the jerk for not picking up my ex's daughter from school when I picked up our son? Ex cheated on me when I was pregnant with our son, 8. And because of this, he has a daughter, 8, with his affair partner, now wife. We are not on good terms, and I do not have a relationship with my ex's daughter. I have never spoken a word to her or spent any significant time in her presence. Ex and I split custody of our son 50-50. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from the school during his custody time stating nobody had picked our son up from school and asking if I would. When I got to the school, my ex's daughter was also there and the teacher was with her. She told me I was on the approved list for pickup for ex's daughter, and would I take both kids? I said no, and I told her I did not want to be on the list, as I would never pick the other child up from school. She told me she would pass the word along and it would be taken care of, and I had to call to follow up on this. My ex never told me he or his wife added me to the authorized pickup list for his daughter. When he realized I had not picked up his daughter with our son, he was furious. He asked me how I could leave her behind when I would have our son unplanned anyway. I told him that I picked up our son, as I would always do if needed, but his daughter is not my child and I will not be their emergency school pickup. According to him, my ex's daughter was there until 7 because I refused to pick her up with our son. She's a child and I understand that's not ideal. I don't feel bad, but I wonder if I would be considered a jerk for being unwilling to pick her up this once. This is not something I want to be a regular thing, and it's the first time it ever happened. Ex's wife was apparently delayed out of town and ex was working. Am I the jerk for not picking up my ex's daughter from school when I picked up our son? Am I the jerk for messaging the husband of my husband's affair partner? I found out my husband, of nearly 20 years, is cheating for the second time. We are getting divorced. I just had this hunch that the AP affair partner was also married. Something about my husband's comments about her didn't add up. Since he was too checked out to even bother with a burner phone, it took about 5 minutes with the phone bill and 10 minutes of Googling to find an email address for her husband. I'm not on Facebook, so probably would have been faster if I was. I sent him an email, and within 5 minutes, my husband was texting me asking what I had done, saying I destroyed a family today. All I can say is I wish someone would have told me the first time he cheated so I wouldn't have hung out with the woman and been friendly. This guy is in a similar situation as me. He and my husband know each other. I actually sent the email from a burner email address and didn't tell my husband, in case I was wrong somehow. But it's clear to me based on my husband's comments that the app named him. The app swears she's been trying to end things with her husband and he won't listen. Maybe that's true, but it's also possible she's totally playing my husband and hasn't said anything to hers. AP's husband wants to talk to me and I'll probably call him. So am I the jerk for telling my husband's affair partner's husband about the affair? Did I destroy a family? Should I have just kept my mouth shut? Should I not speak to him? My boiling blood may be clouding my judgment. Update post 4 days later. The day after my original email to the AP's husband, he and I talked on the phone. He was shocked to learn about the affair, poor guy. I could tell he was struggling as he wanted to believe all the lies she had told him, and was desperate to believe they hadn't had sex, like she told him they hadn't. My husband says the same, but given the fact that he's a proven liar, I didn't believe it for a second. AP's husband said he was worried for his kids. He explained he was embarrassed as my husband and he are part of the same circle. I said I could relate with my first experience of infidelity. He was grateful to me for reaching out and thanked me. After that conversation, my husband texted me upset that I had revealed his prior affair and that I only did it to hurt him, because it is, of course, all about him. I explained that the conversation I had with this guy had nothing to do with him. When I mentioned the prior affair, I mentioned in the context of relatable life experience. I honestly thought it wouldn't be a secret between cheaters anyway, but I guess the AP wasn't happy to learn about it. I know, shocker, cheaters cheat. I guess she thought she was special. At this point, my husband was still sleeping at the house. I LOL woke up the next day feeling like I couldn't breathe. It ended up being a full-blown panic attack, which only stopped after I started screaming at my husband, saying he needed to leave the house. He is officially not living here anymore, and will be packing up the rest of his stuff during an upcoming weekend away that I have planned with friends. I am very sad and very angry, but I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration entertainment purposes only.